Hey there, friends on YouTube. My name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL, Painfully Honest Tech. Thank you so much for stopping by. If it's your first time here, please come back around. If you like the video, hit subscribe. And if you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back again. Today, we are going to talk about a projector, the Valerion VisionMaster Pro2, which, for my money, and over the years, I've seen a few projectors, a few expensive televisions, and all that kind of stuff. For my money, this is the best projector that you can buy under $3,000. And I'm not just saying that because Valerion sent me the projector. They did not pay me. They sent me the projector, and I didn't necessarily have to make this video, and I wouldn't have had I not liked the projector. So they are not approving anything that I say, and this is as transparent as you get. It can project anywhere from 40 inches, which, I mean, why would you have a projector then? Up to 300 inches is big. Like, I can see my screen over there that's 100 inches. And I don't even think my floor to ceiling is tall enough for 300 inches of screen. That's big. And if you're shopping for Black Friday, if you're watching during that time here in the 2025, then stay tuned because the deal that you can get right now is kind of insane. And I know that you might be tempted to already go down and click that link in the description and like go see what it is, but just stick with me. You'll be more excited at the end of the video. So what's good about the Valerion VisionMaster Pro2? I mean, and if you care about deep blacks and accurate color, real cinematic looks at home, this one sits in that sweet spot between, very good features for the money and really good value for what you get, if that makes any sense. But let's keep it simple. This is a long throw 4K RGB laser projector built for picture quality. You're getting true 4K UHD. That's the ultra high definition, I believe is what they call it. 3000 ISO lumens. That's a camera word, ISO. And I don't remember what it stands for. 15,000 to 1 contrast ratio with enhanced black level processing, which usually I don't like that kind of stuff, enhance this or enhance that. And I try to leave. This enhanced black level actually does improve the picture quite a bit. And color coverage that hits about 100% of Rec 2020. It's ISF certified. What's ISF? Well, I don't know either. Let me take a break and look it up. Okay, I'm back. And ISF stands for Interactive Shader Format. Okay? Don't know what that means either, but it's something that you want. What it really means is when you dial in the picture for this thing, skin tones look like skin, not orange, unless that person is in fact orange, not bleached out, none of that kind of stuff. It supports Dolby Vision, HDR10. It has a filmmaker mode, which I think is a big plus. IMAX, if that's your jam. I've never really done the IMAX enhanced. It sounds a little kinky to me. And it handles 24 and even 48 frames per second. So that keeps movies in their natural 24 frames per second, blur, which is what most films use. Now on TV, you're usually seeing 30 or even 60 frames per second. And that's what gives you that weird soap opera look, I guess they call it. And some TVs can't switch between frame rates. So you're just getting, an approximation. But this will switch to 24 and 48 and you'll be in good shape. If none of this makes any sense to you, it's not a big deal. All you need to know is picture-wise, this thing does what you want it to, and it has a very high quality picture. I'm a big fan of micro LED OLED TVs, some of the newer technology where you get super deep blacks and really good color contrast and pop. What you'll notice first with the VisionMaster Pro 2 is the blacks and shadow detail. Very, very similar to what I've seen in the micro LED TV I have from TCL upstairs and, the OLEDs that I've had over the years. Enhanced black level gives you blacks without that sort of crushing near black texture, whereas like if it's got shades of gray in there, usually sometimes a TV that can't handle this will just crush the blacks altogether into like a mush. Letterbox bars stay black instead of gray. In moodier scenes and darker films, you'll see details in jacket folds and hair. My hair is not black anymore, but if it were, you would know that this is... Anyway, over the last several years, filming of television and movies has gotten darker, and people who have lesser TVs can't see the same textures and it can't discern that texture from the other dark stuff. I guess the most famous example of this, or the most well-known, is one of the final episodes of Game of Thrones was super dark and people complained that they couldn't see anything. But that's where this really enhanced black level comes in. And you can, with a higher end TV or a projector like this, you can really see that black detail. If you've been stuck with washed out blacks on other projectors, not naming any names, this is the upgrade that you've wanted. Now let's talk about color. Now, color is the second thing that, of course, you want to pay attention to. And with 110% of the Rec 2020 coverage and that ISF certification, saturated colors, they pop off the screen without being clipped out and too bright. Samsung, to me, is one of the worst offenders of this, although they have gotten better over the years. Sometimes their colors are so vibrant that it just bleeds all over the place and nothing seems really distinct. With this, the skin tones stay believable, and then filmmaker mode is something that I've become a big fan of. If you're a movie buff and you're watching in a controlled room, accurate color and contrast really matter. Filmmaker mode is basically like, it takes all of the information from the image that you're looking at that was intended to be there by the filmmaker, and then it reproduces that without any additional anything. So you're getting, regardless of what you watch, the intended picture. A lot of times when talking about TVs and that kind of thing, you'll hear people talking about peak brightness and all of that kind of thing. And when you're looking at a projector like this, peak brightness is not really your goal. You're not going to want to use this in your living room with a wall of mirrors. You want to have a controlled light space. Like I'm here in my basement studio. I have it set up in here. I can control every light. You want a darker room without tons of ambient light. And even if you do have some ambient light in there, you can get some blackout curtains or something like that. Setup is straightforward. It supports image sizes from 40 inches all the way up to 300 inches. The optical zoom is 0.9 to 1.5, so you can resize without losing resolution. That's not digital zoom, that's optical zoom. Auto screen fit. Now, this was the place where I got really impressed. Auto screen fit and keystone, as well as the autofocus feature, just sees the edges of your screen and triangulates it so that, boom, when it's done, and it only takes a few seconds, you have a completely squared off, right in the middle of your screen, focused picture, and you didn't have to do any futzing. And I've used projectors in the past where you have to do manual keystoning and you're trying to move it around and pull this end. It sucks. So this was a pleasant surprise when I unboxed it and set it up for the first time. I was just like, oh, it did that really quickly and I don't have to do anything. For home control, it plays nicely with smart homes. Apple HomeKit, Google Home, and Alexa are all supported. Wireless casting works with AirPlay 2 and Chromecast, so you can send stuff to the projector from your phone. One of the first things you got to figure out is how far away does the projector have to be in order for me to get the picture size that I want? So here's a quick guide. For a 100-inch screen, you're going to want roughly 8.3 to 13.8 feet back so that it has some focus distance. For 120 inches, that goes to 10 feet to 16.6 feet. For 150 inches, 12.5 feet to 20.7 feet, and measure your room to pick your size from there. I mean, 300 is going to be big. I have a 100-inch screen, and it's really hard to describe if you haven't seen a projector in somebody's home compared to a big television, a 65, 75, 85-inch television. At 100 inches, 120 inches, the feel of the room actually changes, because instead of just having a black square someplace or a black rectangle someplace, you have this wall of picture. Animated films look more three-dimensional. Live action holds together a little bit more. You can see more of the detail and texture in dark scenes. If you're coming from a 65-inch television, this is where home theater, not TV, that's where that line gets crossed. For gaming, now you may be wondering, hey man, I could game on a 100-inch screen, and yes, you can, but with a caveat. input latency is low enough that you can do casual play games, couch co-op with your family or friends. If you like competitive esport type things like Call of Duty or anything that's quick twitch that way, then you'll still want to stick with your high refresh rate monitor or TV. But for story-based games or RPGs or something like that, think Last of Us or anything that's just sort of, point A to point B without having to be super fast, then this is a great, great setup. So let's have a quick word about comparisons without naming any names. Under $3,000 or $4,000, you rarely see this exact combo of in one unit. The deep black handling with near black detail, the wide color volume with ISF calibration, Dolby Vision, HDR+, filmmaker mode, IMAX presets, optical zoom, not digital zoom. If you just don't see that stuff in a projector in this price range. A word of caution, practical tip, make sure when you get this thing that you pair it with the right screen. There are white screens that can work really well, but there are also ambient light rejecting screens that can help in a mixed lighting situation where, maybe you're not only watching movies and it's not only a dedicated viewing space. Any projector looks great with good light control, but when you have a projector that can do the things that this one does with black levels and color, you really want to make sure that you have it set up for the right environment and the right screen. Now let's talk about the Black Friday part, okay? This is the good part. If you're in the US, most of my viewers are in the US, then the VisionMaster Pro is already right now at its Black Friday price, which is $2,300 or $2,299, however you want to say it. Dollar difference. That's $700 off. And then not only are you getting $700 off the normal price of the projector, they sent me an email here and it says, buy the projector now and get a free screen in any size and a 4.1.2 wireless speaker system. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a good deal during this Black Friday season. If you're outside of the Black Friday season and watching, maybe there are some deals going on. But if you're watching during the holiday season of 2025, you really just can't sleep on this deal. Links, of course, are in the description right down below. They'll be right there at the top. All you got to do is click them. If you do use those links, then it helps me a little bit. It helps you a little bit. And you'll be getting a great setup. I mean, a true big screen experience with great black levels, accurate color, under $3,000. If you've been waiting, this is the moment. And if you need help with sizing of your room or throw distances or anything like that, or if you're just confused and maybe you didn't understand any of what I was saying here, other than the great price, hit me in the comments down below. Once again, I appreciate you guys being here. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe. Thanks to Valerion for sending me over the projector so that I could enjoy what it brings to the table. Once again, thanks so much for being here. My name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. This is Painfully Honest Tech. Tech so honest that it hurts. Until the next time, I'm out.